Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Russian President Putin invites India's Prime Minister Modi to visit Russia. France's Macron tells Israel's Netanyahu about the need for durable ceasefire as Israel launches heavy strikes across Hamas targets in Gaza. And in sports, South Africa takes the lead on the second day of Test match against India after an unbeaten century from veteran Dean Elgar and 50 on debut from David Bedingham. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Wednesday. Discussions were held on a wide range of issues, including the Ukraine conflict.
With an aim to take the Russia-India partnership to new heights, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar held talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Wednesday. During the meeting, President Putin invited India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Russia, saying it will give both countries an opportunity to discuss all current issues and also explore the scope of future bilateral ties.
We
will be glad to see our friend, Mr. Prime Minister Modi, in Russia. We will be able to discuss all current issues and talk about the prospects for the development of Russian-Indian relations. We have a lot of work to do, so I ask you to convey to him my best wishes and please pass on our invitation. We are waiting for him in Russia.
As soon as the meeting began, the Russian president highlighted Prime Minister Narendra Modi's willingness to do his best to resolve the Ukraine crisis peacefully.
We know the position of Prime Minister Modi and we have spoken about this more than once. His position regarding his attitude towards complex processes, including flashpoint areas and the situation in Ukraine.
In his remarks, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar conveyed the warm greetings of Prime Minister Modi and handed over a personal message to President Putin.
First of all, please allow me to convey the personal greetings of Prime Minister Modi. He has also, through me, sent a letter to you, a letter expressing his thoughts about the state of our cooperation and the progress that we have made in recent days, and I will have the honor to give you the letter. Certainly, Mr. President, he looks forward to visiting Russia next year.
External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, who is on a 5-day visit to Russia, also had a comprehensive and a productive meeting with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, on Wednesday. As strategic partners, discussions were also held on international situations and contemporary issues, including defense partnerships. With Anita Raj, Amit Mukherjee for DD India.
Let's get you an update on Israel-Hamas conflict now. Israel is expanding its ground offensive into Gaza as it warns the war with Hamas will last for months. Heavy fighting is also continuing in the south, in the city of Khan Yunis. Israeli military spokesman Daniel Hagari said on Wednesday that troops were working in several areas of Gaza, particularly around Al-Bureij and Khan Yunis, which it described as a terror base for Hamas.
In the south, we are working in several areas of Gaza. One is called Al-Bureij. It is an area in the central refugee camps. We are on the 3rd day of attack there, and we are killing many terrorists and destroying terror infrastructure. The second is Khan Yunis in the southern strip, a central terror base of Hamas. There we have expanded our activity, and today we have added another brigade, and we are continuing to act there with the use of new military tactics above the ground and underneath.
Plumes of smoke rose over the border area between Israel and Lebanon on Wednesday as tension between the two countries remained high. The border between the two nations has seen escalating exchange of fire. mainly between the Israeli army and Hamas ally Hezbollah, since terror group Hamas attacked southern Israel on October 7th. Earlier, Israel said that Hezbollah fired anti-tank missiles at a church on the Lebanon border on Tuesday, wounding 9 Israeli soldiers and a civilian, after which it fired rockets, drawing retaliatory airstrikes. Israel's emergency minister Benny Gantz on Wednesday warned Lebanon to stop Hezbollah attacks on northern Israel. In a televised address, Gantz said that the situation on Israel's northern border must change as the time for diplomacy is running out.
The situation on Israel's northern border demands change. The stopwatch for a diplomatic solution is running out. If the world and the Lebanese government don't act in order to prevent the firing on Israel's northern residents and to distance Hezbollah from the border, the IDF will do it.
French President Emmanuel Macron, during a call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, demanded a lasting ceasefire in Gaza. French President told the Israeli Premier of his deepest concern about civilian deaths and the humanitarian emergency in Gaza. The French presidency, in a statement, said that France will work in the coming days in cooperation with Jordan to carry out humanitarian operations in Gaza. The U.S. government on Wednesday announced a $250 million military assistance package for Ukraine. The aid package, the final of 2023, will include arms and equipment, including air defense munitions, anti-armor munitions, ammunition for high-mobility artillery rocket systems, and more than 15 million rounds of small arms ammunition. Congress has approved more than $110 billion for Ukraine since Russia's attack on Ukraine, but it has not approved any funds since Republicans took control of the House of Representatives from the Democrats in January this year. The Russian and Ukrainian armies continue to exchange fire, striking each other's military targets, according to official briefings from the two countries. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported in a briefing on Wednesday that its forces have repelled multiple attacks by the Ukrainian army, destroying Ukrainian artillery systems and armored vehicles. The Russian Air Defense Forces shot down a Ukrainian Mi-8 helicopter and intercepted Ukrainian missiles, rockets, and several drones. The Ukrainian Air Force carried out air strikes on Russian soldiers and equipment, and its rocket forces hit Russian ammunition depots and a command post. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Mexico to tackle a surge in illegal immigration. On Wednesday, America's top diplomat met President Andrés Manuel López Obrador in the Mexican capital at a time when border crossings into the U.S. are hitting record numbers, with often as many as 10,000 migrants reaching the southern border per day and thousands more trekked through Mexico towards the United States. Benji Haya gets us the details.
This caravan of migrants and asylum seekers, the latest of an increasingly common phenomenon, is still hundreds of kilometres from the US-Mexico border, but it's already causing a major political headache for the Biden administration. Antony Blinken and his delegation of Homeland Security officials have this week been asking their Mexican counterparts to help stem the flow of people from Central and South American nations travelling to the United States by, for example, controlling transport routes or providing incentives for them not to journey further north. The White House is also requesting lawmakers here approve a financial package that includes extra funding for border security. Yet that remains stalled in Congress. No negotiations are scheduled until the new year. Mexico's president says the US government should offer more support to Latin America instead of, in his words, putting up barriers and building walls. The migration issue, he added, is only going to intensify and could well be top of the agenda during the election campaign stateside in 2024. Now, illegal immigration has been a consistent vulnerability for President Joe Biden, who promised on his first day in office to, quote, restore humanity and American values to the immigration system, following his predecessor Donald Trump's policies designed to restrict arrivals. Trump, running for the Oval Office again, won the presidency in 2016 with a pledge to build a wall on the Mexican border, claiming rapists were being sent across it. He's recently faced criticism for saying that immigrants are poisoning the blood of the country and are coming from mental institutions. But he denies claims that his rhetoric mimics that used by the Nazis. Benji Haya in Washington, reporting for DD India.
The Michigan Supreme Court on Wednesday rejected a bid to remove Donald Trump from the 2024 ballot based on the U.S. Constitution's insurrectionist ban. Opponents wanted judges to force election officials to determine whether Trump's efforts to overturn his defeat in 2020 and the riot in Washington should make him ineligible to run again. But the court said in a brief ruling that it was not persuaded that the questions presented should be reviewed by this court ahead of the state's February 27 presidential primary. Later, after his victory in his fight against eligibility, Trump in a post said that the court strongly and rightfully denied what he called a desperate Democrat attempt to take him off the ballot in Michigan. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken discussed on Wednesday key issues with Philippine Secretary of Foreign Affairs Enrique Manalo. According to a statement published by the United States State Department, both parties focused on South China Sea tensions and reaffirmed their will to reinforce their firm commitment under the Mutual Defense Treaty. The statement further reads, Secretary Blinken and Secretary Manalo also exchanged ideas on how to reinforce U.S.-Philippines cooperation in the coming year, building on President Marcos's official working visit to Washington, D.C. in May this year. After more Rohingya refugees arrived by boat in Indonesia on Wednesday, students staged a protest calling on the government to expel them. The protest came as police named more suspects in human trafficking. Since November, more than 1,500 Rohingyas have arrived on the tip of Sumatra, having fled violent attacks in Myanmar and now are leaving camps in neighboring Bangladesh in search of better lives. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Jacques Delors, former European Commission president and founding father of the European Union's historic single currency project, passed away on Wednesday at the age of 98. During his dynamic 3 decades as Commission chief, Delors helped create the single market, allowing free movement of people, goods and services within the bloc. The Eiffel Tower was closed to the public on Wednesday after staff went on a strike on the 100th anniversary of its creator, Gustave Eiffel. The employees were protesting about the way the tower was being managed. Though the tourists can still access the glass-enclosed esplanade beneath the tower, but access to the 984-foot landmark itself is closed until further notice. One of the world's most visited sites, the Eiffel Tower is generally open 365 days a year, though it witnesses occasional strikes. The Royal Mint has unveiled new British coins for 2024, featuring coins to commemorate special occasions like the National Gallery's 200-year anniversary, Winston Churchill's 150th birth anniversary, and the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. The New Year's Eve ball, created in collaboration with Fontainebleau, has been presented with a bow tie pattern, signaling a promising start to 2024. The New Year's Eve in New York, the ball will descend from 1 Times Square with illuminated bow ties. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live, a tragic bus accident in India's central state of Madhya Pradesh came heavy on many, ex gratia announced for the deceased. Good news for Apple as it resumes sale of its latest smartwatches in the US as the ban over a patent row was lifted. And southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu sends 42 large bells that will adorn the Ram temple in the pilgrim city of Ayodhya. We tell you the details ahead.
Well, 2023 is about to end, but it gave us a lot of memories to cherish, especially in the world of cinema. World really went Natu Natu on the peppy beats of the famous movie RRR that got global recognition. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once that completely dominated the 95th Academy Awards. The remarkable career of Michael Douglas and the legend of Bollywood, Waheeda Rehman, was bestowed with the most iconic Dada Saheb Phalke Lifetime Achievement Award. Watch Echoes 2023 World Goes Natu Natu at these times on 28th of December only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live and I'm Preeti. Let's get you more updates. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair the third National Conference of Chief Secretaries in the national capital. Driven by the vision of the Prime Minister of putting the principle of cooperative federalism in action, this year, the National Conference of Chief Secretaries will be held from 27 to 29 December. The three-day conference will witness participation of more than 200 representatives and senior officials. It will lay the ground for collaborative action for achieving better quality of life for both rural and urban population by strengthening the delivery mechanisms of government interventions. The key focus of the National Conference of Chief Secretaries this year will be ease of living. The conference will emphasize on the evolution and implementation of a common development agenda and blueprint for cohesive action in partnership with the states. In the wake of Tuesday's explosion near the Israeli embassy in New Delhi, security around the area has been beefed up. Additional paramilitary forces have been deployed outside the embassy at India's capital. A blast was reported near the embassy around 5:10 p.m. on December 26th. While the special cell of the Delhi police is investigating the matter, India's leading probe body, the National Investigation Agency, also visited the site and carried out preliminary inspection. In a tragic accident, at least 12 passengers were killed and 14 were injured after a bus collided with a truck and caught fire in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. The injured have been admitted to the nearest hospital and are undergoing treatment. Meanwhile, the Chief Minister of the state announced an ex gratia of Rs 400,000 each to the kin of the deceased and Rs 50,000 each to the injured. He also ordered a probe into the accident. The police have registered a case and are investigating the accident. Let's get you an update on the COVID situation. Now, India reported a total of 4,097 COVID cases in the country. Over 700 new cases and 6 fatalities were reported in the last 24 hours. Also, the All India Medical Institute of Medical Sciences, that is AIIMS, in Delhi, issued an advisory for the COVID suspected or positive cases that will be reported at hospitals following the sudden surge in the cases of COVID in the country. As per the policy on COVID testing will be done for patients with severe acute respiratory infection like symptoms that include acute infection, persistent fever with cough and onset within last 10 days. With the once-in-a-lifetime event, the consecration ceremony of Ram Temple in Ayodhya is scheduled on 22nd of January and it is approaching fast and the excitement of people is rising higher with each passing day. Chairman of Ayodhya Ram Mandir, Nripendra Mishra, inspected the progress of the construction work in the temple premises. It will be inaugurated on 30th December by Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with Maryada Purushottam Sri Ram International Airport. Ahead of the consecration ceremony of Ram Temple in Ayodhya, India's Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Anurag Thakur, has requested all to visit the temple. He further said that the dream of the Ram Temple is coming true.
भारत के कई पीढ़ियों ने जो भव्य राम मंदिर का कल्पना की थी या सपना देखा था, वो पूरा होने को आया। मैं इतना ही कहूँगा कि देश भर के कोने-कोने से जो लोग भव्य राम मंदिर का दर्शन करना चाहते हैं, प्राण प्रतिष्ठा के दिन के बाद उनका आना जाना शुरू होगा। मेरा इतना ही निवेदन रहेगा कि 22 तारीख को जिनको निमंत्रण मिला है वो तो अवश्य जाएं। लेकिन उसके बाद आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जब अलग-अलग दिनों में खुलेगा तो उस पर जाना चाहिए.
Chief Minister of the North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, is scheduled to visit Ayodhya on Thursday to take stock of preparations and other arrangements ahead of Prime Minister's arrival on December 30th for inauguration of Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram International Airport and Ayodhya Dham Junction. The Chief Minister will also hold review meeting with the officials regarding Prime Minister's arrival. The much-awaited Ram Temple in Ayodhya is all set to welcome Ram Lalla on January 22nd, with every state contributing in to devote something special to mark the occasion. Following the trend, Tamil Nadu is sending 42 large bells that will adorn the Ram Temple, meticulously prepared by skilled artisans from Namakkal district, weighing a total of 1,250 kilograms and individually weighing between 2 to 2.5 tons. These bells are on their way to Ayodhya from Bengaluru after a special puja ceremony. Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is being undertaken across the country with the aim to attain saturation of flagship schemes of the government through ensuring that the benefits of these schemes reach all the targeted beneficiaries in a time-bound manner. As Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra reached Amroha district of North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, Chief Development Officer Ashwini Kumar Mishra welcomed them with flowers. Member of Parliament in the Upper House, Arun Singh, who was also attending the event, spoke about the benefits of various government schemes for the common people. Also, certificates were distributed to beneficiaries of various welfare schemes run by the central government. A live telecast of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address and interaction with the beneficiaries was done by an LED van. Up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from India. India's National Metro Rail Corporation on Wednesday approved the detailed project report for the proposed Sector 142 to Botanical Garden metro section in Delhi. The project will provide direct connectivity to Delhi Airport's Terminal 1 through the Magenta line of Delhi Metro. The Aqua line of the second arm of the Aqua line is likely to be ready in 36 months. As India is all set to commemorate its 75th Republic Day, amid the chilling cold weather conditions in Delhi, Delhi police personnel were seen doing rehearsal for the parade. In India, the Republic Day is celebrated every year to honor the Constitution as it came into force on this day. The Republic Day celebrations include a traditional march past at Kartavya Path, comprising a grand parade by the contingents of the armed forces and the paramilitary forces. In a bid to empower women of India's Jammu and Kashmir, various handicraft skills are being imparted to them through centrally sponsored schemes like Mudra, Financial Assistance Scheme and Artisan Credit Card Scheme. Women here are encouraged to learn abilities such as embroidery, crewel, tailoring and stitching through the central government's special skill development programs. Ahead of the new year, Pobithora Wildlife Sanctuary in India's northeastern state Assam has been witnessing a surge in tourist footfall. Both domestic and foreign tourists have visited the wildlife sanctuary, which is also known for having the highest density of one-horned rhinos in the world. Let's turn focus to business updates now. Asian equities started on low key on Thursday, but India's stocks continued to extend further gains as the US markets moved closer to new highs in anticipation of rate cut by the Fed. India's benchmark stock market indices continued their impressive run on Thursday, hitting fresh record highs for the second consecutive session. Sensex reached a record high of 72,360, while Nifty also achieved an all-time high of 21,745 in early trade. Japan's Nikkei, however, fell by 0.59%, while broader Topix index was down by 0.3%. South Korea's Kospi showed a marginal gain of 0.24% during the opening hours. In the US, the Dow Jones rose by 0.3% and S&P 500 by 0.14%, and the Nasdaq Composite by 0.16%. Crude oil prices dropped almost 2% amid signs of a US stockpile build and weak technical indicators. West Texas Intermediate traded below $74, while Brent crude remained under $80 per barrel. Apple's latest smartwatches can resume being sold in the US after the appeals court paused a previous ban on imports. Apple Inc. said that the most advanced Apple Watch Series 9 and Apple Watch Ultra 2 were available at US stores on Wednesday and can be purchased online starting from Thursday afternoon. Earlier, sales of Apple's latest smartwatches had been halted in the US over a patent row.
Hello?
The US trade body had barred imports and sales of Apple Watches with technology for reading blood oxygen levels. Device maker Masimo had accused Apple of poaching its staff and technology. However, the iPhone maker made an emergency request to the US Court of Appeals, which proved successful in getting the ban lifted. An unbeaten century from veteran Dean Elgar and 50 on debut from David Bedingham allowed South Africa to take an 11-run lead with 5 wickets in hand over India when bad light ended play on the second day of the first test at Centurion. The 36-year-old Elgar played one of the best innings of his long career as he scored an emotive 140 not out to help the hosts to 256 for 5 in reply to India's first innings total of 245. He will resume on Thursday with Marco Jansen, who has 3, with South Africa seeking to build a substantive lead. We now take you to Sichuan province of southwest China, where giant panda cubs are captured playing and frolicking in the snow. The snowy field has become an intriguing playground for the giant pandas as they post various funny gestures like rolling, hugging and climbing the trees. All right, with these cute visuals, we end this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.